Welcome into T4G Sports. In today's video, we're going to do Prediction Thursday for college football. And I do believe college football is much tougher to predict wins and losses than the NFL because the NFL, there's not as much turnaround on roster, coaches, you name it. The NFL is just a little bit of a different beast. College, you can have a brand new team in 1 year. A whole new team. You'll never see that in the NFL, and if you do, it's usually not a good sign. So, let's see what you guys predict as well in the comments, and like always, guys, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, and don't just play the game, own the game. Let's light it up. First up, we got Miami versus Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech's a better football team than what people give them credit for. I know they're 2-2, but if you look at their schedule, Vanderbilt is not a great team by any stretch. But Vanderbilt can play above their britches at times, and we've seen that already this year with Missouri, but then we've seen them lose to like Georgia State. We've seen just crappy play. At that moment in time playing at Vanderbilt, it was a close game. I'm not going to fault Virginia Tech too much for that because that's just what Virginia Tech is. They're scrappy. They go and beat Marshall. Marshall scored 14 points on Ohio State. Marshall has an offense that they will get the ball out of their hands really quickly, and they can score quickly and be aggressive for a short period of time. And then after that, good teams should just whomp them. And that's basically what Virginia Tech did. So I was impressed with watching that. Beating Old Dominion at Old Dominion, which is hilarious. Exactly like you should beat them if you're a good to decent team, right? And then you play Rutgers, who Rutgers is a violent football team. A lot of big players. They play in the Big Ten, and Rutgers won by 3 points, and it was just a dogfight. It really was. Virginia Tech struggled for a while, but Virginia Tech is just scrappy, and they brought themselves back in, and they almost had a chance to actually win that game. Virginia Tech is not a cakewalk team is what I'm getting at here. Okay, now if you look at Miami's schedule, you beat Florida. Florida's just not that good. You beat them at Florida. We can't fault them for that. They scheduled an SEC team, and they just beat the tar out of them. And then you got Florida A&M, Ball State that did exactly what they needed to do against a team of that caliber. And then they played at Florida, South Florida. And South Florida the week before took it to Alabama, and Alabama scored 28 points in the fourth quarter to make the score look a lot bigger than what it was through the majority of the game. So for Miami, if you're looking at their schedule, and it's not their fault by any stretch, but they really only have one ranked team on their schedule so far. Not a good schedule for the ACC. This is just not good, and I think most SEC and Big Ten teams would be like just foaming at the mouth at this schedule. They would absolutely love this. So I think Miami... The thing with Miami, the big game changer for them is they have Cam Ward. Now, Cam Ward, if you just look at the two quarterbacks passing, Cam Ward had 123, Drones had 107 attempts. And if you look at the completions, Cam Ward had 89, Drones had 64. And in those, you could see one's throwing more short routes, and that's just kind of how Virginia Tech is because Virginia Tech's a running team. Cam Ward has 14 TDs, 10 more than Drones, and an interception, one interception less. So just more effective in the passing attack. Now, I want to see Miami come out here and score quickly, put up 21 points in the first half, and then put Virginia Tech in an odd situation because they are a running style team. You don't want to keep the game too close scoring wise with a team like Virginia Tech because they could upset you. You don't want to do that with a scrappy team like that. You want to put their offense in a disadvantage where they have to do something they're uncomfortable with, and their quarterback will make mistakes or can make mistakes. So I do think Miami's going to win this one, but I don't think you should take Virginia Tech lightly. So we got Kentucky going to Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss is going to win this one, but I will say this. Ole Miss has continuously been ranked high every single year, and they continuously prove that that's incorrect. The AP polls throw rankings out at Ole Miss, and it's always like, they're good this year, and then they're not. Now with the playoff expansion, Ole Miss has some abilities to screw up, and they have to finish big. But I will say this about this game. I do believe Ole Miss will win this, but I think that there definitely could be an upset as well. I would be a little bit cautious going in thinking you're just going to whomp Kentucky. I know you're favored to win by 90%, but here's the thing. They're tried and tested, and they're veterans of war. They faced South Carolina. They faced Georgia. Okay, they lost to Georgia by 1 point because their offense is just hideous. Ole Miss has had a preseason game. They played Furman, Mid-Tennessee State, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern. They have not played a true opponent. This is like scrimmage games against it's JV versus varsity. They're not even close. You'd probably even put it to freshmen to varsity, not even give them JV. So this is their first actual opponent that they're playing. That's a true opponent. And so I don't think Kentucky's afraid of them. I don't think Kentucky's looking at this and going, yeah, we're scared of you, that you're going to hit harder than Georgia. We took it to Georgia, and it wasn't that hard. I mean, we lost by a point. So I don't think Kentucky's scared, and I think Kentucky's also looking at going, hey, if we knock off Ole Miss and we knock off Tennessee, we could still lose to Texas. If we walk through the rest, we could have 3 losses and still make it to the playoff. So their playoff hopes are still alive. I'd be nervous if I was Ole Miss. Now, I think Ole Miss will come out with this, but I would definitely be nervous. We got Minnesota going to Michigan. I have Michigan winning this one. I think both offenses are just not that good, but I think Michigan's defense is just ahead of the game when it comes to Minnesota. Minnesota will keep this game probably close for an uncomfortable amount of time. That's more than likely what's going to happen, in my opinion. And then Minnesota's just going to turn the ball over. It's going to be a fumble. It's going to be an interception. It's going to be a sack, strip sack. It's going to be something like that. And then Michigan's going to wear them down through those turnovers. So I got Michigan winning this one. Yeah, I think it could be close for a little bit, but I just don't see Minnesota going all 4 quarters with Michigan. So I got an upset alert on this one. I got Kansas State winning this one just because of how bad they lost to BYU. It was so ugly, so bad that your team now has to play above and beyond what they're used to playing. Because you cannot let Oklahoma State come into your home field and shit right on your forehead. Yeah, they're better, technically, on paper, Oklahoma State. Technically. However, Kansas State's good enough to beat a lot of teams. And I think Kansas State's going to squeak this one out. I think it's going to be a close game. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. I wouldn't be shocked if Oklahoma State won. Definitely not. But I just think Kansas State is going to just pull this out of their ass at the last second or towards the end of the game. So we got BYU versus Baylor. I just can't take Baylor seriously right now. I just can't do it. There's guys who take plays off, and there's guys who are badasses on that team. And some of these guys, like in that CU game, the Hail Mary, the safety doesn't even leave his feet to smack that ball out of the guy's hands. Game would have been over if he just left his feet. That's a mentality thing. There's a guy who dives for that and smacks that ball out, and then there's a guy who doesn't and lets him catch it. There's those two different guys. One guy's like, I didn't know it was up to me, and then another guy who's like, I'm going to do it at all costs. And I think BYU, they played Kansas State. They beat the shit out of them. Even when BYU made mistakes, BYU was still like, even if we make mistakes, we're ready to brawl, bro, at every single turn. Every single turn, we are going to fight you, we're going to fight you, and we're going to see how long you have until you fall. Everyone else was doubting BYU except BYU. So Baylor either has to become like they all got to play good and not just some players, or BYU's going to kick your ass. So I just don't know if Baylor has that right now. I don't know if they have that. I think BYU wins this. I just think they're playing with piss and vinegar right now. And I haven't seen any signs that Baylor is going to play like Baylor. And if they play like Baylor, this will be a game. Oh, yeah, this will be a game. This will be a fight. But until Baylor plays like Baylor, I have to give it to BYU. USC facing Wisconsin at USC. I can't take Wisconsin seriously right now. I think USC wins this. Just the team is just, there's more chemistry. The players are taking it more serious. I know they lost to Michigan. Look, welcome to the Big Ten, folks. Welcome to the Big Ten. You're not going into the Big Ten. You're going to start whipping everyone's ass. It's just, and if you do, it's short-lived. It's very tough to do that year in and year out. That's just not easy. Okay, so I don't blame USC for losing that game. I think it's just welcome to the Big Ten. There you go. This is going to be a dogfight for the rest of your life now. That's the way it works in the Big Ten, way it works in the SEC. And right now, Wisconsin is just, they're just playing sloppy football. Talent-wise, they've bled a lot of guys. I don't think they've really crushed it in NIL by any stretch of the imagination. Their quarterback's thrown 1 touchdown pass in 4 weeks. That's 0.25 touchdown passes in average per game. Like, just bad. That's bad. So I can't take Wisconsin seriously. I think USC wins this one. So we got Louisville versus Notre Dame. I don't know if you should call them the Fighting Irish or like the Tickling Irish. Look, it's all up to Notre Dame. You want my honest opinion? It's all up to Notre Dame. What are you going to do? Because right now you guys have been playing as soft as Hartman's hair was last year. And Hartman couldn't wait for a gust of air. That man was walking around with that shirt, those locks of his. Whoa, those things were beautiful. And he was walking around waiting for a gust of air. And that soft, voluptuous hair, which is it was beautiful. And that's how Notre Dame's playing. We should call them Notre Dame soft as Hartman's hair. They're 3-ply with how soft they are right now. Look, Notre Dame, I'm not giving you shit and trying to shit on your hopes, but are you going to play like you did against Northern Illinois or Purdue? That's what I want to know. What Notre Dame team are we going to get? If you are a Notre Dame fan, holy butt cheeks, you have to question your whole entire faith. Are you even Catholic anymore? Because one TD, Riley Leonard, is he real Catholic? Because one TD and 2 interceptions is not very Catholic-like to me. That's ridiculous. Louisville's a good team. They only played one good team, but Notre Dame, you're playing at home. I don't know what you're going to get. If Notre Dame plays like Notre Dame, they win. If they play like Hartman's hair, they lose. That's simple. But I do think Notre Dame is going to pull this one out. Being at home, I just think there's too many things that favor Notre Dame right now, and they would just have to absolutely shoot themselves in the foot to lose this game, even though Louisville is a pretty solid team. There's no doubt about it. So I have Notre Dame winning this one. If they don't win this one, then there are some major problems at Notre Dame. Oklahoma versus Auburn. Oklahoma's offense, not good. Auburn's entire team's just been getting mushroom stamped on the forehead every other week. Their team is just not serious. They've done good enough in recruiting where they should be better than this. It's not acceptable. I mean, Wisconsin, they have not done the same level of recruiting as Auburn in recent years. They at least have some kind of pass on like the garbage football they've been playing. Auburn, I don't know what your pass is, besides just like not good at all. So I think Oklahoma wins this if they just don't blow their own feet off like they did against Tennessee. Against Tennessee, yeah, Tennessee's defense is good. That's a solid team. But offensively, for Oklahoma, they just can't get out of their own way at times. Just bad football on the offensive side of the ball. So I think Oklahoma wins this because I just can't take Auburn seriously. Now, the thing that will save Auburn is their crowd's going to give them a lot of energy because it's a brand new SEC team going into the SEC and playing at Auburn. So Auburn is going to feel the electricity from that, and you got to capitalize on that in order to win. But I still have Oklahoma pulling this one out at the end. I'm going to look at this game through my hands and just go, like waiting for just bad play. And I hope these two teams go and make it a good performance and they start to tune things up because these teams should be playing better than they are right now. Arkansas versus Texas A&M. I just cannot take Arkansas seriously right now. So I got to go Texas A&M. I just think Arkansas, their quarterback, 4 TDs, 4 interceptions. He's reckless with the ball at times. I just can't see it. I can't see it right now, so I got to go Texas A&M. Mississippi State versus Texas. I have Texas for obvious reasons. I just cannot take Mississippi State seriously. There's too many problems that team is facing right now. Even if they make it a somewhat game, I just think Texas is going to pull that one out. Ohio State versus Michigan State. I think Michigan State could make this game look interesting at first, but then I just don't think you have the firepower, nor do you have the ammunition to keep up with a team like Ohio State. Ohio State has the best defense in the country. Offensively, they can score at a moment's notice. You can't turn the ball over against them much at all because they'll make you pay for it. I know you're playing at home. They're probably going to get the ball out quick like Marshall did because they're afraid of Ohio State's D-line sacking them. As much as I like Michigan State, I just don't think they have the ammunition nor the firepower to truly make this an actual game. I think Ohio State's going to win this one. I don't think anyone's really shocked by me saying that. Stanford versus Clemson. I got Clemson winning this one just because they should, and they're playing at home. Clemson is kind of like Notre Dame, up and down, but they should win this game. At the end of it all, Stanford should not have the firepower to actually keep up in this. And so Stanford should lose this one. I got Clemson. I agree with the matchup predictor on this. Iowa State, I think, should win this game against Houston. Houston just shoots themselves in the foot far too often. So Iowa State, they beat Iowa. Very tough game. They could play very, very physical football when they want to, and I think that they're going to win this one. I would really be shocked if Houston pulled this out. So I got Iowa State. Georgia versus Alabama. Alabama's team is comprised of Nick Saban guys. They are comprised of players who have already tasted the victory against Georgia. You're playing at home. You're playing a night game. I don't see Georgia winning this game due to those reasons. I think Georgia, at the end of it all, they could, sure. I definitely think so. Because you don't know what you're going to get. Are you going to get Alabama versus USF? Or are you going to get Georgia versus Kentucky? So each one of these teams has showed flaws, but I think just them being at home with a team that's comprised of Nick Saban guys who've already beaten Georgia before, I think they just have the upper hand in that regard, so I got to go Alabama. Okay, let's go through the rest of them. We got Illinois at Penn State. I think Illinois is going to make this a dogfight. I think Penn State will win at the end, but I think Illinois is a very scary team, and they will put this into a dogfight. If Penn State comes out and dominates them, look out. Penn State should do that because Penn State is a playoff team. They are. Like, however you slice it, Penn State's a playoff team. They're dangerous, very dangerous team. But Illinois is not a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination. So I think this one will be close, and I think Penn State will come out on top at the end. At least that's what should happen. Illinois could win this game. If you're a Penn State fan, I wouldn't feel cozy with this game. Hopefully you guys come out and play like you should, because you are a top 6 team in the country and you should play like one. Illinois is a top 15 team in the country, so you should beat them. But Illinois is just a team that is scrappy bastards. Bunch of scrappy dogs, man, is what they are. So I got Penn State winning this one. Illinois is not a team I'd take lightly. South Alabama versus LSU. I got LSU winning this one. Boise State should win this one. But you got two different teams. One team that passes a lot, another team that runs a lot. So we'll see how that goes. But, I mean, Washington State should air raid the piss out of them. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. This game's tough. This game's tough to figure out who's going to win. I think I'm going to go with Boise State on this one. I seriously would not be shocked. Not even the slightest if Washington lights Boise State up. I wouldn't shock me at all. Arizona, Utah. I think Utah wins this one. Oregon, UCLA. I think that'll be a dogfight, but then I think Oregon will come out on top. UCLA is due for an upset sometime, and this could be the game. They could upset Oregon. But Oregon's playing good. They just came off a bye, so we'll see kind of the Oregon team, what we're going to get from that Oregon team. But I think Oregon's probably going to pull that off, but this is one that I definitely would be cautious of because I think UCLA could pull off an upset. No doubt about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and let us know your guys' picks as well in the comments below.